Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here we go again. The Bill Crane Report's on the air with my friend Dwayne Weiss.
If you didn't learn your lesson from watching it last time, well,
Here we go
history
again.
has to repeat itself then.
I thought we'd start off, Dwayne, with a bunch of subjects about life in America and some of the stuff that's in the news, and let's get some capsule comments.
Sure.
More police killed.
Yeah.
We're, in the last couple of weeks, we've had multiple times police officers killed, ambushed.
Ambushed, yeah. Murdered.
Yeah, well, what they do, of course, is because they wear body armor, the bulletproof shirt, if you will, they come up behind them and shoot them in the head.
Yeah.
This is a bad thing. To my mind, the police have got an untenable job. For the most part, a lot of those guys and gals are doing the very best they can.
Yeah.
But the community as a whole,
They don't have their back.
that's right.
And
Not supporting them.
I think some of this blame, now this is, again, not direct, it's a couple of steps removed, but go back and think about this past summer, New York City. Police would stop somebody, crowds would come around, they'd start dumping water on them, they'd shoot them with these Nerf guns and all this kind of stuff, harassing them and dumping, just trying to make fools out of them. And the policemen could not do anything. They had to sit there and take all that crap. Well, that set a precedent. Across the country, they say, well, they're fair game. And it just escalated now it's into murder.
Right, Rudy Giuliani, back in his heyday, would have had them all arrested. They would have all been in jail. You cannot allow this sort of thing to happen.
No.
But we have to. The police are wrong, and the youth are demonstrating because the police have mistreated them and blah, blah, blah. When we start agreeing with mob rule, all right, then we're in a lot of trouble.
That's when anarchy sets in.
Bad stuff. Looking ahead, have you got your crystal ball with you today?
Yep.
Oh, good. Who will eventually come out as the Democratic candidate for president?
I think Biden's got a good chance because no matter what he does, they give him a bye. It's sort of like he's being groomed. And everybody says no, but I think the former mayor of New York City,
Bloomberg?
is going to be right up there because, first of all, he's got his faults. Everybody does, but he doesn't preach this. They call it progressive. I call it Looney Tunes. Stuff about, we're going to get rid of this and we're going to get rid of that.
He was a Republican until 18 months ago.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he can appeal to that moderate middle group on both sides. I think there will be some crossover because some of the Republicans don't like Trump, but they don't have any choice. Right? With the Looney Tunes you got up there now, they don't have any choice.
Right.
If you're not going to vote for Trump, well, you might as well vote for Mickey Mouse.
Bloomberg has got a big problem, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
40% of the Democratic Party is ultra-left progressives.
Yeah.
They will not come within 12 miles of a billionaire. He's not going to get one vote out of that crowd. And I don't see how he gets to the top without...
I think that's part of an education process that they have to take care of. Because if you look and really think about it, what is the difference between a billionaire and somebody that's got $25 million?
No difference.
There's no difference. It's money they can't spend.
But it's the name.
Yeah, it's a name. And you got Elizabeth Warren saying, oh, she used to say millionaires and billionaires. And then somebody pointed out, well, you're worth $20-some million. Oh, I mean billionaires.
Yeah.
Well, come on, honey. It's one and the same.
Yeah.
Even old Bernie there, Comrade Bernie, was pointed out that he's a millionaire, and he got all huffy about it.
Well, anybody can write a book and become
A millionaire
in this country, yeah. Not everybody does, though. But everybody has got baggage with this bunch. Right now, Biden is at the top of the Quinnipiac poll. Now, I don't know. It all depends on who's doing it and the way they ask the questions. But the last one I saw, he had 24. Bernie had, Bernie was not second. I think Warren was second with 16. Then then Bernie was 14 and Mayor Pete was 14. It seems to me it's going to come down to Bernie and Biden. Now, there are two people who are sitting on the edge of their chair waiting to be called. And that's John Kerry and Hillary Clinton. And they will declare instantly.
Yep.
That is what they both are hoping for.
Yeah.
That, look, this is sort of like building a stew, you know? I mean, you got some of this, some of this, some of this, some of this in here, and it tastes terrible. They're willing to be the magic ingredient that hops in.
I think you're right. I think it's going to be at the point where the present group of loonies got this thing so convoluted and so off the wall that either Hillary or John is going to walk in or ride in like the knight on the white horse to the shining armor. I'm here to save you.
Well, you know what? Kerry already tipped his hand.
Yeah.
When somebody said, have you ever thought about entering the election? And,
of course he has.
He said, well, I'm available should they call. If my country calls, I will answer the call.
Yep.
Yeah. Great. That's something to look forward to. Now, sort of like who threw the overshoe in Mrs. O'Leary's chowder here.
Right.
So, we here in this country are plodding along, watching all of this. Well, all of a sudden, looks like the China deal is going to be signed very shortly. Mm-hmm. Everything points to it. A budget agreement was made yesterday. The North America trade deal is going to be law.
U.S., Canadian, Mexican, Canadian.
And last night, Boris Johnson won a huge victory in Great Britain.
That's right, 3-1.
Yeah, and don't for a second try to tell me that has no impact on the U.S. It was a gentleman running for president over there who is very upfront. He's a guy that has said, here's what I'm going to do, and here's how I'm going to do it, versus the folks that don't want to get out of Brexit, or they want to put their spin on it, the Labour Party, and they're socialists.
Yeah.
They want to socialize the utilities over there. Oh, they got some great plans.
Yeah. But plus,
so, guess what? Johnson looks like has a 76-seat majority.
Mm-hmm. And like Bill said, it's more important to us than we realize, because right now when we deal with the UK or England, we deal with the EU. You want to do a trade agreement, you want to do something, well, you got to go through the EU. You're not dealing with UK. When they're no longer in the EU, we can now say, Britain, we can turn this thing into one hell of a strong trade partnership.
Let me tell you something. If we have a free trade agreement
with them,
the Great Britain,
yep.
Watch the stock market go right through the roof. Now, folks, when I talk like that, I'm not a millionaire.
He's about this far from it.
But I know this, that when the stock market goes up, it's like the tide. It raises all boats. Oh, yeah, Bill, but I don't have a portfolio of stocks and bonds. You don't? You got a 401k? Got an IRA? Millions upon millions of people do. They're what is going to be the pension plans that you're going to use to retire. And what do you suppose those 401ks are invested in? The stock market and the bond market. All right? Where suppose the IRAs? You get to choose. But in heaven, please don't tell me you're in cash, but that you are in equities. The equities. This year, the Dow, I think, is up 19.9%.
Oh, my God.
You know what that is, folks? That's 20%.
As of yesterday, we were only 100-some points, a new high, a new record high.
So the middle class is benefiting from the cut in taxes and the rejuvenation of the stock market. It's all in your 401k. And if you don't understand it, find somebody that can explain it to you. Because you are piling up winnings. Mm-hmm. And I worked at the Foxborough Company, and I worked in a department, whole lot of people. And we used to get a statement every quarter on our investment plans. It was like a line of people bringing their plan to me and saying, can you explain this to me, Bill?
Oh, yeah. A lot of people don't know what's going on.
Yeah. So if you can't figure it out, folks, get somebody to show it to you. Because let me tell you, we're doing great under President Trump. And with all the good stuff that is happening right now, next year looks like a dandy. The morality of the wealth tax and health care for all, the morals of it. How do we justify choosing this very narrow band of people and taxing the living hell out of them because they're successful? Progressive income tax? I can live with that. That's,
I can too.
Yep. But to say, oh, you're wealthy, we're going to take some of your money.
I don't think that should be the criteria. But the thing we do have to do, again, is close those loopholes that are only available to the ultra-rich. The people that are really rich don't pay taxes.
I know it.
They find a way out of it. And this thing about Elizabeth saying, oh, we just tax the billionaires, we'll just take so much tax. You may do that once, but you're not going to get them the second year.
No.
And they'll have, their money won't even be here anymore.
And look, and another thing, Elizabeth, we retired Elizabeth, she's gone. But the truth of the matter is, all taxation has to start in the House of Representatives.
Yep.
Now, if the Republicans take the House of Representatives back, there isn't going to be any wealth taxes from President Warren should she win. And so it's not going to advance to the Senate, where it would die there too.
Yeah.
So we're not going to have a wealth tax unless something unforeseen happens and Warren becomes president and the House and the Senate both go Democrat.
Yes, yeah. But all that I'm saying, if we've got a progressive income tax and at your level, this is what you owe, that's what you should be paying. Period. That's it.
And never mind rigging up these trusts.
Yeah, that's the.
And avoiding your fair share.
Yep.
No, I agree with that part. If it's on the books, you should be paying it. Yep. In fact, if I had my way, the tax code would fit on one piece of paper. One piece of paper.
Well, you know,
that's it.
The more complex you make any regulations, the more there are people that are smart are going to get around it because they're going to find all these little ifs, ands, or buts in there.
Cheaters lie and liars cheat.
That's right.
The health care for all, we covered this in a previous episode. I feel that everyone in this country should be covered under some sort of health plan. And I think we need to work to that end. I do not want it to be a government-controlled health plan.
Oh, either.
I think that Travelers Insurance, Northwestern Insurance, I'm sure that they could put together plans for low-income people that would fit the bill. And government can kick in some money to subsidize that so that everyone gets health care coverage. Brexit. We touched on Brexit.
Yep.
But Brexit is basically Great Britain leaving the EU, the European
Union,
the governing umbrella all over Europe. And BR, an exit, is basically how Brexit was named. It's going to be a wonderful thing for the United States. And we share a common background with the English. So many of us are English or Irish, Northern Europeans, Southern Europeans. And we have a common background with them. I think we understand each other. It's where our country was planted and where it grew. Is from European folks that immigrated over here. We're going to put together a wonderful trade plan with the Brits. And that's a big economy over there.
Certainly is.
And it's going to be a boost for the U.S. and the Brits alike. I think it is a fantastic thing. Have you ever watched two people, and I know that you were watching the impeachment hearings.
More than I should have.
Have you ever seen anybody any worse than Adam Schiff and Gerald Nadler?
Never. I mean, those two despicable individuals.
Adam Schiff with those bug eyes.
Yep.
And Gerald Nadler reminds me of a snake.
Yep. I've never seen a meeting, I'll call it a meeting, where you have rules of the, of what do they call it? Robert's Rules and all
Robert's Rules of Order, yeah.
Taken and used against somebody or a group more blatantly than that was. Changing the rules, changing the regulations, denying things that are valid. Just like little dictators sitting there, either one of them, and just, no.
What? It has exploded in their faces.
Yep. It was hard to watch.
I know.
I said to Monica, we were watching this thing, I said, I wish, what was his name, Nunes,
yeah.
I wish he'd get up, walk over there and smack him right across the face, just punch him one.
Let him have it.
Yeah, boom.
Pop him. Ay.
It's absolutely terrible. You know what I saw last night? The bug-eyed one.
Adam Schiff? Let's see, CNN?
No, worse.
MSNBC?
Colbert. They were interviewing him, and he was going on and preaching and preaching and preaching. You know, of course, that audience, they're clapping and cheering. And I said, this is not right. This is like a trial. Here he is on national TV skewing the judgments or the opinions before they're even given.
And Neil Colbert is such a suck-up.
He's a snake.
Man alive. You know,
he's not funny. God almighty.
No. It used to be, like every 5 years, you'd have to reapply for your license to be a television channel.
Yeah. Right.
Well, you know, I wish that was still in effect. So we can yank some of the licenses of some of these TV channels. I mean, fair and balanced, no one is other than Fox. Their problems.
During all these hearings, you know, Fox was at 841 and CNN's 842. So I'm doing this, and I'll flip the next one over to see what's going on there. You're seeing the same thing, but just watch the commentators or the comments underneath. They're night and day.
It's like you're watching two different
things. Yeah, you thought, my God, what is the smoking gun we've got? The other one said, no, nothing here, folks. Nothing to see here, folks. Move on.
That's it. You know, I get a kick out of the ads of another billionaire, Tom Steyer.
He is the biggest hypocrite.
Well, I stopped pipelines. I stopped natural gas expansions. I stopped this.
Folks, and listen to this. Before he ran for president, not many years ago, he might have stopped pipelines. You know why? He owned 6 of the largest coal mines in the United States. He was a coal miner in spades. I mean, this guy spewed out more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere than whole cities have. And now he stands up there and pontificates. He's the biggest hypocrite.
The tagline on his ad is, "We need to save the world, and we can do it together."
Yeah, what were you doing when you had all these coal mines? Huh? That was perfectly all right. And this is not ancient history.
No.
This is just a year or two before he came out and elected to run. That's how he made his billions, by the way, was selling these coal mines.
Unbelievable. Well, whatever happened to walking Indian file?
Well, you don't dare say that anymore.
For those of you over the age of...
I hadn't thought of that in 40, 50 years.
50 years now. But Indian file was one in back of the other, in back of the other, in a single file line, yeah. And whatever happened to all the hobos and tramps and ragmen? Where did they go?
They became the homeless on the streets of San Francisco. Hobos and tramps. I saw a definition of the difference too. I cannot remember. One would work for food, or one traveled and one didn't. I think.
Something like that. One of those constant wanderer, and I don't know, but that's what we used to call and they used to ride the rails.
Yeah, there's a movie out. I haven't seen it in 40 or 50 years. It's about these guys riding the rails, and they used to call them bulls. They were the railroad policemen.
The yardmen, right?
Yeah, and they would beat the hell out of these guys and this guy's down underneath, riding underneath his car, and the railroad guy had this spike about that big, and he'd lower it down on a rope. Of course, it would bang around and beat the hell out of those guys down there. And you really started cheering for him at the end because they get into a big fight. It was the king of something.
King of the road?
No, it was.
I don't know. Speaking of rides, I don't think that I know I've never been in an Uber or a Lyft.
I haven't either. We just talked about that the other day. Maybe we should set up an account someday. We might need one.
I'll tell you what. from all the stuff I read about Uber and Lyft drivers, I'm never going to get in one of those things.
No, I'm not. I don't care one way or another.
Yeah, but anyone can be one of those people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Gun sales. Gun sales are going up. 4 million guns were sold in October, and 2.4 million background checks were done. And Christmas, I guess, is one of the reasons. But
Christmas and Father's Day are big gun sale times.
But it was Thomas Jefferson.
Well, in the fall too, honestly.
Yeah. The compelling reason for the Second Amendment is to guard against the tyranny of government. And the fear of the Democrats is another reason why gun sales are going up too. Because they have said, this is Government Pete, I'm coming after your guns. I'm taking your guns.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know gun sales are seasonal.
Yeah.
Because I had just started with a company. They made precision tooling.
Sure.
And little precision files and cutting tools and stuff. And I'm driving along and I come across this. I won't even say the name of the company, but it's a common name. I said, well, just stop in and say, I know the arms people use a lot of Swiss pattern files and little tiny needle files and all kinds of things. And the guy that got it, well, said, oh, we're glad to see you. Yeah, come on in. And I said about this. Oh, we need this stuff. And he said, give me this purchase orders and all this. We don't sell directly, we sell through distributors. I said, well, who's your distributor? And they gave me somebody that's up. It's not here. It's away. So they came in. I'm so proud. I walk into that account. I says, I got about $60,000 just in needle files here for you. I'm like, who? And they look at it. No, take it someplace else. What? He says, they owe us $280,000 for 4 months already. He said, we shut them off months ago. And I went to the next guy and went, no, I'm not shipping them. They only pay their bills twice a year, after the Christmas sales and after the fall hunting season. The rest of the time, if you don't get paid in November, you're not getting it in December. Then you're not going to get paid until 6 or 8 months down the road. And these distributors, they can't carry that kind of inventory. They'll carry it for a while. They've got that kind of deal. So I found out that this business was very seasonal. You know, there was the kind of manufacturing that their product is a little less priced than the Remingtons but it's not bad. It's a good product, but they just didn't have the financial money to go over these capital flows. It was ebbing, it was fast and then slow.
Sure. Too bad sometimes some enterprising bank couldn't have gotten involved and carried that paper. And well, anyway. So I've written down a list of things that for a wonderful country, we can't quite seem to do anything about this list. So I think a couple of bright guys like you and I could attack this.
There's nothing we can't solve.
Right. Traffic congestion in Boston.
Well, first of all, again, I got opinions that we do have a problem. Physically, we have a problem to start with that we can't change. Normally, you have a city and you got a 360-degree radius around that your spokes can go out like this. Because we happen to build ours right on the water, we got 180 degrees. Everything has got to go from this side. East you can't go unless you got water wings on. So everything's concentrated on half.
Yep.
And two, we did not, when we had a chance at one time, utilize the egress and ingress that we could have. There was that one road that was supposed to go on in that would have helped a lot.
The Southwest Expressway.
And number three, this is the one we can do something about it. We just don't do it. Is teach people how to drive. enforce some traffic laws. We've got antiquated habits here that are so counterproductive to traffic. How many times you go into Boston, or even around here, not so much here, but in a larger traffic situation, the light's yellow, people are getting ready. There's always that guy or one or two that'll run out and get into that intersection, and now the traffic going this way can't go anything. They blocked that whole thing off. But a cop will stand right there and do nothing. They don't care. Well, pretty soon you got traffic backed up here. You got traffic backed up there. Or you go on that Southeast Expressway where, God almighty, we were going that day after day after day. And you see, it cannot stay in their lane. They got to cross over here. They got to cross over here, cross over here. And when we get up to exit 20, when we got off to go to South Station area, or to, Tufts, and they were maybe got 5 car lengths on me. But I see them always, people brake lights going because they're constantly changing lanes. You get a place like California's got a lot of traffic. Huge. I mean, we wouldn't go any place with the Southern California traffic. But they're disciplined. They get in that lane and they stay in that lane.
Well, on the major routes too, they got the rumble strips.
That's right. So
yeah.
And
to discourage you from changing lanes.
And God Almighty, you come to that situation where you go out, well, they call it 128, where you go north on the expressway or south to the Cape, and it's 3 lanes, then splits in 2 off each one. So the center lane can go, with either one.
Either or.
But the right lane going to the Cape in the morning is not busy. But the other 2 are. So you always got these people that go way on the right-hand lane, way up, and now they get right there with a split, and now they want to come across.
Bingo.
And this whole line of traffic's got to stop and let this BMW. And that I've noticed is the biggest offender. Audis are up there. And for some reason, Jeep Cherokees now are
aggressive drivers.
And they're just going to pull right in there, and you're going to stop and let them in. Well, 40 cars now got to stop in a line here and let that one guy in. Well, of course you're going to back everything up. A lot of it's, and some of it's just poor design. I don't understand why they think they got that HOV lane, why they got to shift that wall back and forth.
I know it.
You can just say, well, today, the morning, we're going to go on this lane and then come back. No, they got to get that machine that takes forever to lift that lane over here, then lift that lane back here. Well, you've lost a lane and the hours that it took to change that wall, and it didn't solve anything.
Well, one of the things, too, I recall Senator Kennedy telling us that the big dig was going to cost $2.8 billion, not 1 cent more, I guarantee
and it was going to eliminate all these problems.
It is going to solve the traffic problems. And every time I go to Boston, I always say to myself, oh, thank goodness, Senator
thank God
Kennedy, you had the big dig here.
And we had such a deal.
Drive right through.
Drive right through.
Nothing has changed.
No.
It's gotten worse.
You see, take public transportation. Take over and over and over and over. You can't handle it. There's always a weak spot that we can't ever see here. We kind of we ignore that. The weak spot in taking the T, if you had the capacity, is how do you get on it? Where do you park to get on and not everybody has a wife or a husband or one and the same. Significant, that they call it kissing by or whatever.
Yeah,
drop them off and, see you tonight, honey. I'll pick you up at the station. You got to get there somehow.
I remember.
And they eliminate those parking. They don't have any parking there, so you can't take the train. It's always that one little thing they seem to forget or they eliminate.
The other thing they seem to forget, and they don't forget it, they just don't want to do it, and that's preventive maintenance.
Yeah, that's another thing. Run that thing till it runs in the ground.
Yeah, and then when it breaks, we'll fix it.
Oh, my God,
well, with an automobile.
Yeah.
I bring my thing down to Kevin. Every time I hear a knock or a whiz or something, I want it fixed. I don't want the car to break down.
Yep.
So But the MBTA, it's a horror show. And you've got work rules with the union.
Yep.
You've got problems. Antiquated equipment. You got rail beds that aren't worth a darn. Well, do you realize how much money it's going to cost to fix this? Well, do you realize how much money we're spending fixing what breaks down now without dealing with the damn problem?
And for the MBTA, for Christ's sake, you got a company building these rail cars. Yeah. It's Chinese, assembling them in Springfield. This Chinese company has never built these kind of things before. You did tell me that there's no other company in the world, and in fact, I know there's two of them in this country. There's one in Denver someplace, and there's another company that makes train cars. They could have done that job, but oh no, somehow we have to deal with an unknown Chinese entity.
Yep.
And I would like to if you could take the top off of that deal and look in there, I think there's some smells going to come out of that thing, because somebody's getting something here.
Of course they are. But you know what? Here's another thing, too, is rather than buy the best, they got to buy the cheapest.
Yeah.
Because it's a state law.
Yeah.
It's a bid process. You've got to take the low bidder, unless you can prove he's a total inept screw-up.
Well, there's a way around that,
There's a way around that, too, and that's decorating the mahogany with money.
And I can tell you how one of the reasons they used to, I'm not saying they do today, but you decide for yourself. I worked for a company, and we did bids for a large semi-public transportation company that happens to run through local. Everything over, I think in those days, was $250 or $500 had to go out for public bid.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd just take, if they needed something, and break it down into little bitty pieces. And not go to public bid, but buy from local, one or two here instead of 30 of them. They'd buy one or two and go on and on. Now, here's where the catch came in. Guess who owned the companies that they were buying from?
Ah, gee, I've probably never been able to figure this
Usually
one out.
they're some of the people's wives, cousins, friends. They owned the company, but there was no scrutiny because it was never had to go out for public bid because it was always below the threshold.
Purchasing agent.
Yep.
All right. I came in with product. I can give you this, this, and this, and this. Well, we only buy through distributors. Why don't I give you a card, Margaret Smith Enterprises?
Yep.
Margaret, Bill Crane, how are you? Love to be able to market some of my actuators through you to XYZ Corporation. Oh, come on in, we'll talk about it, Bill. Margaret, now, Smith, I was talking to Clyde Smith, the purchasing
oh, yeah.
guy. Oh, yeah, that's my wife.
Yeah, that's my wife.
Has her own supply company. Mm-hmm. Marks everything up 20%.
Yeah. I found that all the time. I found that common.
I found it in big companies,
Yeah.
too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man alive. And, you know, everybody's on this kick. Well, why can't we put overhead wires in and we'll run the trains electrically? Oh, gee, that's the kind of thing you can just snap your fingers and that'll happen.
Look how long it takes to electrify the Southeast Corridor
from
Boston to New York. I mean, it took forever. But, you know, we have a problem in this state, particularly in this state, and it's probably other states too. The MBTA, I'm not picking on the MBTA, but, you know, them, RMV, or motor vehicles, I think they call them RMV here.
Yeah, registered
motor vehicles, was the probation department. All these
semi-autonomous
organizations have for years been dumping grounds for patronage. You got legislator and Mr. Big Shot sitting in Beacon Hill up there, and well, I need a favor. All right, what do you need? Well, you do it for me, and he says, I'll get your son-in-law a job, at MBTA, or I'll get you a job someplace in the fire department, or I'll get you a job in the tax department. For years and years and years, we've done this, and we've loaded these companies up, or these organizations up, with nincompoops that they get, and they're not just pencil pushers. They're sitting in seats that should be making big decisions. They're making big money. They get their 20-some years in and they retire. That's all they're just warming that seat up. They don't know crap.
Yep.
But we've loaded up these organizations with these nincompoops.
And you can retire. I don't know if it's still true or not, but it used to be you could retire at any age after you had 26 years in with the MBTA at 100%.
Yeah.
How the hell? I mean, that's like dying and going to heaven.
I moved here. I thought, well, I said, I'd like to work for somebody like the MBTA. And it was at a Christmas party. And the guy says, "You're new here, aren't you?" And I says, "Yeah." He said, "Well, if you put an application, you better put $10,000 stapled onto that application or nobody's even going to look at it."
Unfortunately, it's true, Yeah. You've got to be connected. We can't seem to do anything about robocalls either.
No, that's another one. You'd think that with today's technology, that you would be able to do something about that. What I found a little disturbing was an article that I read that, you know how you get a call that looks like it's coming from your own town, or even your neighbors, or sometimes it even gives companies names that you deal with. I get Comcast Business Office, I get Eversource calls, and they're not from them at all. There's some scammer in India.
Yesterday, you know what I got? BNY Mellon.
I did too.
Of New York Mellon.
I get that one a lot, yeah.
And it was, thank you for being an Eversource customer. Do you know how we can help you and get 30% off your bill? Which is just a total scheme.
I found that you can go to the Xfinity store and for $8 buy an app that allows you and me to scam that phone system.
Really?
We can put anything we want come up on that caller ID.
Oh. How about those apples?
They're in cahoots.
Unbelievable. And now, a couple of guys in the House of Representatives are working on a bill down in Washington. So I have a lot of hope this is going to work.
Oh, that's going to
well.
be it. I just
term limits for politicians.
I'm in 110%.
We can't do anything because it's got to start with them.
And it's a self-serving thing to vote against it.
You're asking them to eliminate their own job.
Yeah, like Marty Meehan running, and when he wouldn't run more than 3 terms, and Howie Carr on his 6th or 7th term would say, Marty.
Remember your promise?
Yeah, what term is this? 6 or 7?
Oh, how about? Well, I was going to say corrupt politicians, corrupt judges, but here's one that really came home to roost the other day. Companies with lousy computer programs. So, I went to Barnes & Noble.
Okay.
And I ordered 4 books for Christmas. So far, so good, huh?
Yeah.
The next day, I get a phone call. Now, Mr. Crane, your order is in. Bloop. And my answering machine got it.
Okay.
So I went up to Barnes & Noble up in Bellingham. The lady goes behind. Here's your book. I said, but I ordered 4 books. Oh. I said, did you call me on this? She says, yeah. I said, why didn't you wait for all 4 books to come in?
Oh.
I can't see your order. It doesn't show on my computer.
Okay, yeah.
I have no way of knowing you have 4 books in. I said, so I have got to come up here every time you call. Well, yeah.
Unless you call me back and find somebody to talk to.
So I said, well, why don't we just wait until all 4 books are in? Well, there's quite a few of us working here in this in the cash out area. We don't work on verbal instructions. I said, so if I wait, well, she said, don't wait too long. We only hold the books 5 days and then we send them back. I said, so if I have a book that doesn't come in until the 6th day, I'm going to find out that all the others have gone back, but I can get that.
Yep.
She says, when we call, I'd advise you to come get your book. I said, oh, well, let me look on the bright side of things, and I can accumulate 4 of your nice bags. She said, see, it wasn't as bad as you thought, was it?
Jeepers.
I said, you know what? I said, you really and truly should do. I said, with your act here of explaining all of this, you ought to take this show on the road.
Yeah.
I said, go to a comedy club or something. I said, you'd have them roaring. Honest to Pete, I don't know. Do you watch the hockey games?
Sometimes.
Jack Edwards, how can you stop him from talking during the game?
I don't know.
He's talking and talking and talking. The play's going on. He's not describing the play. Paul Smith has it now going down the right boards. You know, he's 6'4" and weighs 240. He come out of North Dakota State, but now the puck has been taken away from him. It's going
you don't
the
know
other way.
What happened? Huh?
Oh, yeah.
I don't like the Sunday night crew on NFL.
No, they're terrible. Yeah.
Those 2 monkeys, one thinks he knows everything, and one's got new dentures.
Ratchet mouth.
Yep. And he's always telling me what that player was thinking.
Yeah.
Well,
like
he did that because he's thinking, I'm going to listen to this. You don't know what he's thinking. Or one time he said, he intercepted that ball because he watched the quarterback's eyes. Well, he was 60 yards downfield, and he can see through that helmet and see where them eyes are going.
This is amazing.
We're supposed to believe this crap?
Yeah, I'm telling you, it is crazy. You know, and homelessness, of course, is another subject, but we're going to talk about that again. But getting the political parties to talk and cooperate for the good of our country and all its citizens. Now, that is such a simple and naive statement on my part, but yet, when you stop and think that they are acting in the worst interests of the country because they wanted to work for the best interest of their political party. That's more important than the country.
Yep. Now, I have a radical idea. Of course, I got opinion on everything, but this one's
like
radical
ideas.
Get rid of the parties.
Well,
you could have a guy that's conservative, a guy that's liberal, but not in that organization that dictates to him what it's going to be. You could now you'll get a guy that swings this way or swings this way, but he's moderate. You get these and there's no problem with cooperating with the other side, so to speak. Right now, the Republicans see the Democrats, and the Democrats see the Republicans as the enemy. You can't help them. You can't. Oh no, I'm not gonna do nothing to help them. If I gotta, what do they say? Cut off your nose to spite your face. I'll do it because I'm not gonna help the other side. Well, if there was no other side per se, if it wasn't defined, you wouldn't have that.
It wasn't as rigid as
that's right.
Yeah. You know, friends, this young man here is showing a lot of promise.
And I am young too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he speaks the truth. It is amazing what happens in Washington. Let me give you 2 examples. We have had absolutely no engagement with Social Security.
Yep.
For 20, 30 years.
Yep.
We know there's a shortfall coming.
The clock is ticking on it.
And politicians will not do anything about it.
Yep.
Now the reason why the Democrats introduced Social Security to this country in 1936, I believe, under
Something like
Franklin Delano Roosevelt. They think that it is their program. The Republicans have no business offering solutions, changes, ideas. They are not allowed to comment on Social Security. This, according to the gospel of the Democratic Party. Now, so who does that hurt? Well, it hurts everybody. And the reason why, because the Democrats will not go forward with a plan to shore up Social Security and keep it viable and keep it liquid, I guess, is the best way to express it. And you know why they won't do it? Because they're afraid the Republicans will criticize them and pile on. There they go again, wasting money. There they go, spending money. And it'll be a great big collision. And if the Republicans have the temerity to cross this magic line and criticize Social Security, the Democrats do it to them.
Yeah, it's
Kabungo! They're all over them. You tight-fisted Republicans voted against Social Security. You've got no moral right to comment
it's
on
that
it.
party line thing
That's
again.
it. And the same thing is going on right now with Medicare.
Yep, that's another one.
They will not address it, and it's exactly the same reason.
Yep.
Lyndon Johnson, Democratic president. Democrats came forth with Medicare. Republicans have no right
Yep.
to criticize it, modify it, talk about it, look at it, or even collect it, probably.
Yeah, I mean, and these programs are loaded with fraud and waste. And Social Security pool has for years been a dipping ground.
Yep.
Oh, take it out of there, take it out of there, take it out of there.
You know, we used to have a deal here in the U.S. We had the Social Security Trust Fund. And it was built up to a huge amount
It kept
of money.
growing and growing and growing.
And guess what? The two parties got together and they went behind the magic curtain and shut the lights off and said, here's what we'll do. We'll raid it and we'll transfer it all to the general fund. And we'll give the nation an IOU that we will fund it forever and we'll pay 2% interest.
Yeah. It's a
So they did it. They raided it. And much to his chagrin, George Herman Walker Bush went along with it.
Yep.
That was a crime, what they did. And that really shows you the attitude toward seniors.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Because we don't count.
No.
We're not big enough group, but we're getting bigger.
Yeah.
But
But you're going to die pretty soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't have to really, look, they're going to be dead soon. We don't have to kowtow to them. I see that attitude. I tell you what, I'm really in favor.
Social Security is one of those things that it's not hard to fix. A few tweaks here and a few tweaks there, you're back on the track.
Exactly. I mean, there was a committee formed, and they came up with a report on exactly how to fix Social Security. You increase the retirement age a little. Mm-hmm. You increase
The upper limit of
upper
deduction
limit,
there.
that's right, of how high the deduction rate could go up the salary ladder. And there was a couple of other things they did too. Simple. And it wasn't rocket science. And it wasn't going to break anybody or break the bank. It was common sense. But one guy was a Democrat and one guy was a Republican.
And his,
Alan
his
Simpson,
company's basis that said, no, you can't do, his party said, no, you can't do that. The other one says, no, you can't do that, and you can't do this.
Alan Simpson was a Republican, and Bowles, I forget his first name.
One.
Was the Democrat.
Yep.
And there was a couple of other people with them. But the Simpson-Bowles report laid it out. And the two parties, you'd think it was radioactive snakes.
That's right.
They ran away from it. Oh, no, we can't touch that.
It's
Why?
Like
Because it's half Republican, half Democrat.
it's like gas tax in this state to fix the roads.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the more you see, the more you really begin to wonder, are we in fact really such a great country? I mean, we have a lot of great things going on. I got a stack of great things to talk about. We'll have to do it next time. But I'll tell you, you see stuff like this and you say to yourself, why? Why do we have to do this? You know, I think it was John F. Kennedy that said, you know, I dream things that aren't and say, why not?
Yeah.
We deserve better from our elected officials. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
If you got a topic you want us to talk about, let us know.
That's it. All right, folks. You've been a good audience. You behaved yourself.
That's right.
And I'm very proud of you.
No sticky fingers on the TV screen or nothing.
That's
today.
right. So look, here's the deal. 2 weeks, we'll come back and do it again.
Yep.
So be there or be square.
Enjoy the holidays.
Happy winter.